Welcome to the Purple Warriors podcast. I'm Ali Sugars, your host, and thank you so much for joining me. This podcast is about raising awareness for domestic abuse by allowing survivors to share their own stories and journeys to recovery. It's also about assisting fellow survivors to give you practical yet powerful information that will help you on the road to your recovery. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome everybody to part 2 of our interview with Lucy Irving about her story and her new book, My Cry to God. As with part 1, I would like to say to you all that we do discuss some quite in-depth information in this interview, and I would like to provide a trigger warning for anyone listening to this. So I do hope you enjoy part 2 of our interview. So you talked about, the fact that you're still dealing with a lot of stuff with your immediate family. How do you deal with those people still around you? I know what you've been going through, but tell our listeners, are you scared of retaliation? How does it affect you personally? And as you talked about your relationship with your husband now.
Well, when you sent me the questions, I was like, I know how I'm going to answer this because I'm just me. Whatever comes out my mouth is just what comes out my mouth, But yesterday, I told my husband yesterday, I said, I'm so glad I got a phone call again. I got another phone call referring to the immediate family that continue to try to sabotage me and what I'm doing. And I told my husband, I said, I've been so excited about talking to you. So my husband and I are very, very close. As you can probably tell, we are so honest and open. It's not even funny. We're truly best friends. And so he already knew, I've been waiting to do this with you. And I said, that is perfect that I got that phone call because she's going to ask me this. And I got a phone call yesterday that really just is going to add to this interview. I'm telling you.
Wow.
So all I can really say, all night I was in because I still have, I have anxiety. I have, I am bipolar. I do have racing thoughts. And the old Lucy, before I truly opened up and let God have my life, have my heart, and, change everything about my life, the old Lucy was not very nice. I've always been a nice person, but think about it. You bury 3 children, it's going to mess you up in a way that you have so much hatred inside of you. You've got to get it out somehow, So last night, all night, I was thinking, I was very, very, very emotionally strong, I think is the only way to put it. I prayed real hard. I finally calmed myself down. I said, you know what? I did a video, I think last week on retaliation, and people asked me, my first podcast interview, all the blog interviews, the, magazines, all that, have all asked me the same thing. Am I scared of retaliation? And the answer is no. I should be. I often wonder when they're going to kill me. I'm just being honest because they are so crazy. It's just the only way to put it. The things they have done are so out there and outrageous that I often wonder, are they going to try to kill me? But I do know that God is going to take care of me and my family. And so the only answer is no, I'm not scared of retaliation. I should be, but I'm not, because I refuse. I have dealt with this my entire life, and I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. And I can't show other women to be strong and uplift them if I'm over here cowering down like I always have. So the answer is no, I'm not. I should be, but I'm not. And my husband, you asked about my husband, that's kind of a hard question to answer really, but he is the most supportive man I've ever known. Sometimes he doesn't want to hear what I'm saying because he says it hurts him too bad to hear what I've been through over and over again. So he does kind of sit back, but he has access to everything I do, as in all my pages, private messages, all that. And sometimes he'll go and kind of check it out or whatever, but he sees what people say to me. And the bottom line is, he don't fear nobody. So he worries about protecting me, and he worries about my mental health more than anything. So to answer your question, I'm not scared of retaliation.
That is brilliant. And one thing I absolutely love about you is that you do speak your truth in a blunt and honest way.
And people, as in my family, hate me for it. The world loves me for it, but my family hates me for it. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it is, because that is literally what drew me to you, was your honesty, and the fact that you do just put it out there, and the fact that it is such an amazing and incredible story isn't the words I want to use, because it's not a story. This is a personal experience. That's what really gets me emotional. And I know that as I was reading the book myself, there were times when I literally, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I had to put it down because I was a blubbering mess, or
I've been told that.
It was actually triggering me, where I just couldn't read. I just had to have a break. But,
I've had a lot of people tell me the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised, but it's a brilliant book, and it's a brilliant experience to go through, to know, and to get to the end, and to now get to know you a little bit and know that you're coming out the other side.
Right.
Is just, I don't have words. So, Lucy, at what time specifically did you decide to speak up and about your life and write the book?
Well, I've always been a writer. I've always wrote poems, and during school, friends would call when we'd have things in English, or and I know a lot of people pick on me about my spelling, but I might not be the greatest speller. A lot of people say they can't put feelings into words. I can. I've always, I wrote a book when I was about 16 years old. I handwritten a book, and this girl got mad at me one time, ripped the whole thing up to shreds. But it was such a good book. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I've always known that I was going to write a book, and the longer my life went, as far as age-wise, next month will be 10 years ago my youngest son passed away. Yeah. So it was about 8 years ago. I said, you know what? It's time. It's time. And that's what a lot of people can't stand. I do have another book that's out. It's called My Journey Through Hell on My Way to Heaven. And it's half of the story. Right. My Cry to God is the whole story. So, I had already in my mind wrote half the book about my daughter, and then my son, and my ex-husband. But then I realized, I've got so much more to talk about. And then that's when my youngest son passed away. And when I realized that I did have happiness in my life, I knew it was time to put it out there. My first book, I still had a lot of hatred in my heart. I didn't let God lead me in that book. My Cry to God, every chapter was prayed over. I really went out of my way to make sure God was first and foremost in this new book. And it has really gotten, on the bigger side than what the first book did. So I can see that, God wanted it to happen. So truthfully, when my youngest son died, about 2 years later, I said, you know what? It's time. It's time to tell the world, because why in the world would I go through the life that I've gone through? I'm just now 38 years old. So when I was 28, I had been through all of this. I mean, why would God allow me to go through it if he didn't want me to tell my story? Because he'll take anything bad and make it good. That's the only way to put it.
I love that, because I feel exactly the same way. Lucy, as a fellow Christian, while reading your book, the one thing that I could not stop thinking was, after everything that you've been through, how do you manage to keep your faith in God so strong?
That's a hard question. There are moments. I have moments that, I do still ask why. I'm not going to sit here and lie about anything, especially my faith. The truth is, I do still have bad days. I do still have moments on my children's birthdays, which is also the day they died. I do not do well. My daughter would be 20 in February. So that's 20 years of, but no matter what, I know that when I pray, he answers my prayers.
Mm.
I know that I know people that have been through, and a lot of people get on to me or don't like what I say because, people don't like me being honest. But there are people, say, for example, they've only buried one child. It's still the grief. I'm not comparing at all. But just for example, I could be that person. I know people, old friends, they've lost a child or a miscarriage or just been through, say, just a little bit of the trauma that I've been forced to deal with. And I try to help them. I try to uplift them. I do everything I can to help them. But I have one specific friend that, I saw her in the back of a police car just last week going to jail because she can't shake it. She can't shake it. So I think every time my faith starts to wither a little and I say, lose its strength a little, I remember that I've been through so much. And where I'm at, when I decided I refuse to not be happy, I refused to let, Satan completely destroy me. I refused I'm not going to sit here on this earth and be as miserable as a lot of people I know. And the fact that when I have a bad day and my faith is lacking a little and I pray, I remember I've been through more than the average person.
Mm.
And if I made it, then the least I can do is give credit where credit's due. And that is God himself, It's hard. I mean, it's not easy. Everything's not just easy on me, But the more I'm capable of reaching out and helping other women, they uplift me too. You uplift me. I'm not the only person, trying to uplift somebody. It's not just my story, it's God's story. And I love hearing other people's stories because it uplifts me, you know? So basically, that's how I will not ever let go of my faith in God. He's brought me way too far to let it go.
Absolutely. And I know that one thing that you speak a lot about is happiness after trauma, HAT, you call it. Tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be.
I don't really, honestly, I don't know. For a long time, my hashtags were keep going and keep growing. They're still my hashtags. Keep going and you'll keep growing. But all of a sudden, I realized that I don't know. Honestly, I can't really answer that. I can tell you HAT come from Annette Perez. I don't know if you know her or have seen her on my pages.
Yeah.
AP Ministries. We did this amazing interview. But because I had to lose my other page, I've lost that interview. It's driving me crazy. So she messaged me one day and said, you know what? I've noticed that you say you have happiness after trauma a lot. And I said, you're right. She said, God gave me brought this idea to me. And of course, I'm going to listen when somebody says something like that. And she sent me a picture of, it saying HAT. She said, I don't know why, but I truly believe God wants you to use this. And I said, are you sure? Do I have permission? Because it's a wonderful idea. Because I say happiness after trauma. I would have never thought, I guess, of HAT. And she said, yes, it's yours because God told me to give it to you. And I said, thank you. And I've been using it ever since. And it's starting to really pick up.
It is, and I think you're the perfect person for it too, really.
I'm really excited about it because the further it goes, the more, HAT will be, I think is going to be a big deal. I have a lot coming in the next year as far as the book goes. It's so sad though, because I decided, even though I've had to change to keep privacy from my immediate family, and not even my immediate family, it's other family members too that I don't even remember them as a child. I mean, they were never in my life. I don't even know. Jealousy will eat people alive. And you can't call yourself a Christian and bully and harass and destroy other people. I mean, I got an email yesterday, somebody trying to get in these accounts. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad. But yeah, Miss Annette Perez kind of brought me that idea, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
If you could go back, and I know you've been asked this question before, but I'm looking forward to your answer. If you could go back and speak to young Lucy as a child, what advice would you give her knowing what's to come?
We had talked about that, and then when I saw you put it on the list, I was like, I'm glad she did that, because it's a wonderful question for anybody. I would personally, I ask everybody I interview that question because it's really a good question. And I've always answered it like this. I would tell her that it's going to be okay, and to allow God in sooner, and to slow down, and really truly believe and understand that God is going to take care of her. But yesterday, something hit me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to change my answer, because the answer to that question is be patient, be you. Because for so long, as a child and growing up, I had to pretend like none of the abuse happened. I had to, keep it quiet, because in my family, you're supposed to sweep everything under the rug. Does not matter how bad. And I would tell her to just keep being you, keep being honest. Don't worry about what other people say, feel, or think. If you're doing right, God knows you're doing right. You're not out to hurt anybody. Keep being you. Because the thing is, I can't regret my children. I can't. Sometimes I'm like, if this wouldn't have happened, or this, I wouldn't be so messed up. But I can't sit here and tell you what I used to would have said to that question, because I love my children and I don't regret them. And I know that when I get to heaven, God's got me a huge mansion, because I had 5 miscarriages and I buried 3 children. So I've got a lot of rooms to fill in my mansion. So.
I'm picturing that mansion as you speak, and I'm loving the view.
I'm telling you, I think about it all the time, and I can just see it. It's just, I got too many kids waiting on me,
That is gorgeous.
The answer, you might ask me next month and the answer might change. You never know about me.
That's okay. That's fine. I'll watch it on your social media.
It is crazy though that I went from 6,000 followers.
Yeah.
I've got back up to around 2,000, but I want to, it's kind of depressing, because I worked so hard for so long on that page. And what bothers me the most, and maybe, if God wants these women to see this interview, maybe they'll remember me and say, oh, she didn't leave me, because there were women that didn't have the courage to speak out. I try to be a voice, because it doesn't bother me to be honest and open and blunt. It doesn't bother me at all. But there are women and some men in the world that they just can't do it. And so I try to be a voice, for them. And there were so many women that they couldn't go to a counselor or a doctor, or, they just couldn't make themselves do it. And so I was helping so many women through some really rough times. And then all of a sudden, Facebook disabled my big account because of the harassment and the bullying and the hacking. And I didn't know Facebook could do that, but they did. And so I can't find all my followers. And so I'm so worried about some of these women, because, for a long time we were working together, and then all of a sudden I'm gone. And it worries me that maybe they think, oh, well, Lucy don't care anymore either, so it does bother me. But at the same time, I've met some new people that I wouldn't have met any other way. So, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
And I think probably one thing is that I pray that those ladies do find you again. And I also think that maybe the reason this happened is because it's going to be bigger and better.
I think so. I really do. I would love to tell you. I will be on a TV show in October, and a radio show any day now, and so many interviews and stuff. The thing is, I quit announcing all my stuff that I'm doing beforehand because my family is so, God forgive me, but they really need help. They need prayer. I literally last night, I really hard and heavy prayed for my immediate family because I don't know why. I haven't named anybody. I haven't purposely hurt anybody. And they know it's all true. Um, I talked to my mama and my daddy yesterday, and they're like, I don't understand, one, why this person is even anywhere in our family business, because they have nothing to do with our family. They've never spent a Christmas with me or an Easter or a birthday or nothing. I mean, this is like, my family's really, really big, where I live here in Louisiana. So I don't understand it at all. They really, really need help because they don't want me helping other people, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's sad, but I did pray for them yesterday. If I say I'm going to pray for you, I actually do. You know, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I'm going to pray for you, and they never do. It's just, they just never do, but I do.
You may have even already answered this, but what advice would you give to fellow survivors of abuse who are recovering, or they may even still be dealing with ongoing abuse? What advice would you give to them?
Never give up. Keep going. Keep growing. And there is happiness after trauma. There is period. And if you don't believe it, just listen to my story, pick up my book, or listen to other people's stories. You don't have to listen to mine. I'm not the only person in the world that's been through this. Listen to other people's stories because it is true. You can get out and educate yourself on trauma bonding, because a lot of people want to say, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? They don't understand that trauma bonding is the answer to that question. So never give up, and you can do it. That's a promise. It is a fact. You can do it.
Amazing. So let's talk about the book now. Where can our listeners get their own copy of My Cry to God?
My Cry to God is being relaunched. It was re-edited, and they are working on it now. It's going to have the same cover. If you pull up My Cry to God under the pen name Olivia Johnson, it's online now. But a week before the book relaunches under my name, it won't be for sale under my pen name anymore. And of course, I'm working on the website now, and of course, I'm on Facebook, Lucy Irving Author. There's Author Lucy Irving group page. There is the True Story My Cry to God group page. Then I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. But I'm doing a lot more, and it will be basically sold everywhere books are sold.
Beautiful. So Amazon for people in Australia.
Oh yeah. Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Right now it's for sale on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and westbowpress.com. But I would rather people see the new version, the re-edited, properly exciting new copy.
You mentioned just then that originally you published it under a pen name, and now you're putting it under your own name. Why the change?
My first book, My Journey Through Hell and My Way to Heaven, had my name on it. And my family did me like they're doing me now. Actually, they did me worse. It was really, really bad. So this go round, I decided to write under a pen name to protect my abusers. I have stopped doing that a long time ago. But this time I said, I'm going to do this to try to keep things down. Hopefully, it will protect them enough. And then when it got picked up and my family was treating me the way they are, it hit me. And I said, you know what? No, it's my story. And I need to be able to reach people, help people. And I mean, how can they find me under a pen name? I'm going to change my name back to my real name because it's my story. And I refuse to ever protect an abuser again, ever. So that's why I'm putting my name back on it, because I did it originally to protect a very close family member that was one of my biggest abusers. And I still am forced because, sometimes we have to make a decision. It's what I do. It's how I feel. What happens when they are dead and gone? What happens? How am I going to feel, about the situation? And so that's why originally I did the pen name. But now I'll never protect an abuser again. My name will never go anywhere. My name's important. And it's my story. So that's why I'm changing it back.
And I believe that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard mentioned that there's talk of making this into a movie or a miniseries.
Okay, yeah. I was invited to LA to meet with producers about my story. They could have picked it then. They could pick it tomorrow. They could pick it next year. They could pick it next month. So I'm just praying that it happens. And, if God wants it to happen, it's going to happen. If they decide to move forward, they could do it any second. That's what I had. That's one thing about my story and about what I talk about, because it was so, it's so exciting. My story could actually, can you imagine how many more people it would touch, and reach in the world if it was, on film and on TV or wherever. And so, yeah, I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs is what I'm doing.
Just waiting and praying.
Waiting and praying. And if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. It'll happen. And I kind of feel like it will. Being picked up by a traditional publisher, being the real deal, I feel like it will happen. And if not, it's, whatever God wants. But I just have this feeling that so many bigger things are happening since, and I just feel like eventually it'll happen. I'm already writing my next book, and it's a fiction, but it's based on true events, but I'm writing it as a fiction. So, it's going to be cool. Who knows? It might be a movie. You never know.
Lucy, it has been just beyond words speaking to you today. I am so grateful that you have come on from the other side of the world, and that
I'm so excited about that.
And that we have had a chance to connect. Now, I will be making sure that I can put all your social media links up, because I want to help you regrow that following, because I know that God has connected us for a reason.
Yes, I truly believe that.
And that, we need to get you building that following again, because I know that your story is definitely going to help so many people.
Well, I recently started my YouTube channel also to put my videos on, and that's what I got the phone call about yesterday. They found my YouTube channel. They keep on. But you know what? I'll never give up. I'll never give up. And it's been amazing talking to you. I've been so excited. I mean, the fact you're in Australia is amazing, but I've been following you like you've been following me. And, there's a reason for everything, it really is. And it's it's so amazing.
Thank you again, Lucy, for coming on today. And I hope to connect with you again in the future, and maybe have, a bigger discussion on happiness after trauma, and even trauma bonding I would love to talk to you about. So thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed today's show, and thanks for listening. If you would like to share your story of survival, or you have a topic you would like to hear about on the program, reach out to me via email, welcome@themotivationmama.com, or find me, The Motivation Mama, on Instagram or Facebook. And don't forget, the greatest project that you will ever work on is you. Happy day, beautiful.